some literature and English conversations. 4.4 Ian Forster's The Road from Colonus and English Conversations. This story also contains dialogues between two or more characters. When scanning, you can also look for keywords or phrases in order to get specific information. In The Road from Colonus, you can look for the connection between this story and Greek mythology. The keyword is Oedipus. In paragraph 24, Mr. Lucas tried at least to explain his feelings, and what he said was, "I'm altogether pleased with the appearance of this place. It impresses me very favorably. The trees are fine, remarkably fine for Greece, and there's something very poetic in the spring of clear running water. The people too seem kindly and civil. It is decidedly an attractive place." Mrs. Foreman upbraided him for his tepid praise. "Oh, it is a place in 1,000. She cried. "I could live and die here. I really would stop if I had not to be back at Athens. It reminds me of the Colonus of Sophocles." "Well, I must stop," said Ethel. "I positively must." "Yes, do. You and your father. Antigone and Oedipus. Of course, you must stop at Colonus." Mr. Lucas was almost breathless with excitement. When he stood within the tree, he had believed that his happiness would be independent of locality. But these few minutes' conversation had undeceived him. Oedipus, in Greek mythology, the king of Thebes, unwittingly killed his father and married his mother. Homer related that Oedipus's wife and mother hanged herself when the truth of their relationship became known, though Oedipus apparently continued to rule at Thebes until his death. Oedipus at Colonus is one of the three Theban plays of the Athenian tragedy and Sophocles. It was written shortly before Sophocles' death in 406 BC and produced by his grandson at the festival of Dionysus in 401 BC. Let me talk about the summary of this play. The play begins in the Gulf at Colonus near Athens. It is several years after Oedipus was banished from Thebes, the city he once ruled. He is now a sorry sight, blind, dressed in rags, led by his daughter, Antigone. Ian Forster draws an analogy between Mr. Lucas and Oedipus, and another analogy between Ethel and Antigone in The Road from Colonus. Ethel is Mr. Lucas's daughter in this story. Antigone is Oedipus's daughter in Oedipus at Colonus. Antigone dedicates her life to taking care of her father. So does Ethel. In The Road from Colonus, Mrs. Foreman always referred to Ethel as Antigone. Ethel was his youngest daughter, still unmarried. She was unselfish and affectionate, and it was generally understood that she was to devote her life to her father and be the comfort of his old age. Mrs. Foreman always referred to her as Antigone, and Mr. Lucas tried to settle down to the role of Oedipus, which seemed the only one that public opinion allowed him. Mr. Lucas has something in common with Oedipus. In the road from Colonus, he had this in common with Oedipus, that he was growing old. Even to himself, it had become obvious. He had lost interest in other people's affairs and seldom attended when they spoke to him. He was fond of talking himself, but often forgot what he was going to say. And even when he succeeded, it seldom seemed worth the effort. His phrases and gestures had become stiff and set. His anecdotes, once so successful, felt flat. His silence was as meaningless as his speech. Yet he had led a healthy, active life, had worked steadily, made money, educated his children. There was nothing and no one to blame. He was simply growing old. When Mr. Lucas desires to travel alone, his daughter doesn't agree. Let me read aloud their dialogue. My dear Papa, I will do all I can for you, but stop in that calm. No. Are there fleas? Asked Mrs. Foreman. Ethel intimated that fleas was not the word. Well, I'm afraid that settles it, said Mrs. Foreman. I know how particular Mr. Lucas is. It does not settle it, said Mr. Lucas. Ethel, you go on. I don't want you. I don't know why I ever consulted you. I shall stop here alone. That is absolute nonsense, said Ethel, losing her temper. How can you be left alone at your age? How would you get your meals or your bath? All your letters are waiting for you at Petrus. You'll miss the boat. That means missing the London operas and upsetting all your engagements for the month. And as if you could travel by yourself.